Hello, welcome to the Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Street Day 244 or 5. Close. I'm getting closer to what it is, which is exciting because we're only 2 weeks away from 269. And what's better than 69? 269s. Let's be honest. Hello, everyone in the chat. Welcome to the show. Dijon, I see you in there. Born Again Manchild. Dave Frazier. What's happening? I'm still in my village. I'm going to change my backdrop image at some point. But I'm still rocking here. Podcast Bros. What's up? Hope you're well. Please do stay hydrated. And, of course, thank you to everyone else for going Patreon. War Machine, yes. Hope you're doing well. I think you're on furlough at the minute, aren't you? Maybe? Or you've been doing pickups. Squinty Hugh, how's things? Loving your conversions that I saw yesterday on Twitter. Look really great. Hi on Heresy, how you doing, bud? Wilson Eshi, Baby Jesus, Save the Mortal Realms. It's a great question. More on that later. Faces and Bases, hello. Tomb King Tristan. Question, who's your favourite band? Best one you've seen live? And a record that you always go back to. That's an interesting start to the Warhammer show, but sure. My favourite band is a band called Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. The best band I've ever seen live is Parkway Drive. And a record that I always go back to is not Top Loader Dancing on the Moonlight. What is a record I always go back to? That I always go back to? Probably... And a Day to Remember song. I don't know what it is. Hey to Helgamar, hope you're well. What would have fight between a Tarzan and a Sugar Glider? What is this? Questions today. Did Just Escape Plan is still my favourite ever live band. They're fantastic. Hasten for Gaming. We need more Warhammer celebration days. Do we? Is it that Halloween? Hey babes. Straya represent, yeah. So today is International Men's Day. So I thought I'd hang out today and we'd just chat. I'll take your questions, but also I want to know how you guys are. It's a day where blokes struggle a lot to express their feelings. Let's be honest about it. Warhammer's a great vehicle for being able to do that, whether it be your frustrations or whether it be your sadness or your joy, whatever it might be. I think that's one of the reasons we all like Warhammer. We get to meet up with each other. I was just thinking today how much I miss my friends, and seeing them in person is always super important, especially when you're being a moron, which is often my life. So I just thought we'd hang out today for the stream streak. We'd appreciate each other and we'd appreciate the world around us, is what I do. And we talk about some of the hot goss that's happening in a minute, because there is some really hot goss happening in the Warhammer world. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Best one I've seen live has to be Linkin Park. Nice. Men's Day replaced by International Soneshi Baby Jesus Day. I'll take that. The day we make peace with our tilt. That's true. That's what we need to do. Hey, General Beef, thanks for subscribing, babe. Love that loads. Thanks for being here. It's the Sausage Fest Day. That's what it is. And it's a way for us all to talk to each other, which I think is good. I miss making music, says Tristan. I understand that. So are you all okay? Is my first question. Podcast guys, if you're listening to this, just understand that I hope you're all right. Like, you know, make sure you reach out to someone. Message your friend who haven't messaged in a couple of days. Say hi. I'm probably not the best person to give advice on like mental health. I'm a pretty happy dude most of the time. But I always just rely on my friends around me. I drop Nathan a message. He tells me to stop being a twat. It's pretty easy. Like, you just do that. Like, that's good. So try and do that every now and again. Or if you're someone who's feeling really happy today, just fucking throw a message to one of your like Mardy mates. That's such a bloke way of putting it. Hey, Chin89, best band I've seen live with Muse or the Chili Peppers. Really? Chili Peppers? So what was the gossip about some of the Warhammer Twitter? I saw it but got confused. Is this the one from Sunday? This Sunday, everyone was having a flip out over the weekend about fucking God knows. And I brought up a very, very old Warhammer story to kind of relate them. And I've suggested that a particular member of the Warhammer community is actually a catfish being played by a podcaster who also catfished a bunch of people on a podcast before catfishing was, I think, even a thing. And it's a conspiracy theory. There's also a conspiracy theory going around right now. I don't know if I want to give any credence to it, that actually the mortal realms aren't actually flat discs, and in fact they're spheres. So they're mortal spheres. I don't know what you would call like a body that people lived on that was a sphere. I'm not sure what the name of that would be, but not a flat like Discworld disc, but more of a kind of like a moon shape. if that makes sense. Not, I haven't got the word. I don't know what the word is. Sinful Game, I'm doing alright, first day back in lockdown. Buddy, I hear you, and I'm sorry. Listen, always reach out to people. Face and bases, I'll be honest, I'm worried about being a hermit after working from home since March. Missing family so much. Streams like this and good Discord communities help a lot. Faces and bases, I completely understand, baby. Like, I really, really do. Best thing I can say is maybe go for a walk. Like, if you see people in the street, and it sounds weird, but it's like, hey, and then we go, hey, I know they'll think you're weird. That's fine. You can do it. But yeah, I hear you. MJ Pigs is kind of day where I feel okay, admitting my mental health is at a low point, but I've got a lot of cool stuff going on, and that helps. And not for doing nothing, so hanging out with you lot for an hour or so in the afternoon, I often dick about, but I value this channel, this chat. Many thanks all. I value the chat. I think one of the good things, Podcast Bros, about the chat is, and you guys can join us, or if you could join us, if you're watching back on YouTube, one of those things, you could join us midday BST. Just throw some comments, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave some comments and we'll respond to you, and we'll get that interaction going so you feel okay. Disturbed are fantastic live. Are they? I don't agree with that. I've seen them live. Are you planning to get any of the battle forces like the rest of us addicts? No. There's nothing in the battle forces. Also, big shout out to Ziggy in the chat. I don't know if you guys can see Ziggy 1982. It's his birthday. I was about to message him after the show. So if we could all wish Ziggy a happy birthday, that would be great. Thank you. Rob, are you going to work on more Honest Wargamer merch? I actually don't do most of the merch work. I'm just going to point out. Either John or Tom do the designs and James does the actual heavy lifting. I'm mainly here to be weird and create the stories. You guys are here to be weird and create the stories. So that's really, we as a group, me and you guys, we create the merch in our minds. And then Nick. Oh, by the way, obviously the 40k show's on tonight. Me, Nick, and Tom are going to be talking about the Space Marine list. I'm very, very excited about tonight's show. Very, very excited. It's going to be super fun. Really looking forward to talking to Nick and Tom, especially on a day like today. So you guys should join us for that. Sphere. I don't think mortal realms that are flat. The ones that are flat make sense because things. You can only fall off the edge. But if it was a circle, like a sphere, I imagine everything would just fall off the edge. So it doesn't... that's why it's called fantasy, I guess. Hey, Asian Nagash. Hope everyone's well. I'd like to ask how is AdMech to play, says Chin Chin. Looking to buy some of their models towards the competitive side. So if anything I know of AdMech at the moment, Chin Chin, one of the important elements for them is the Cerberus Hounds. They're quite cool models as well, which is super fun. A lot of the conversation in 40k at the minute tends to be about board control. So like Nick was talking about, if you go back and listen to the 40k show on Thursday, Nick was talking about Phobos Marines. Tom has a lot of conversations at the moment about like mid-board control. So effectively being able to like control the mid-board, which really is a lot to do with controlling board space generally. And AdMech are quite good with that. Cerberus Hounds are good for that. Their transports are good for that as well. So they've got a lot of options for doing stuff and getting in the face. That's why Nurglings are strong. That's why Harlequins are strong. They're all able to push into the midboard early or control that board space. So AdMech are really good because they've got the firepower to back that up. So they've got the early control and then the firepower afterwards, generally. So yeah, they're a good army. But I would start with, personally, you could go for Cataphoron Breachers and Destroyers. Either of those. Arc Rifles are pretty popular. They're pretty important. And then the Cerberus Hounds are quite key as well. I hope that helps. I really felt like I knew what I was talking about there. I've been reading a lot recently. That's what you do when you don't go on Twitter all day. You read. And it's quite good for you. It's snowing here and it's very jolly. So it's a real good time to be sick at home. Oh, hi on Heresy. Hope you're well, babe. This stream and chat has been godsend. Thank you to all. Stu Flynn, it's a pleasure having you. Jabs, hold my hands up. Jabs, hold my hands up. I struggled over the back end of summer. Early this year, hobby was saving grace, but seemed to get a kick in the bollocks from real life, which put me in a depressed situation. Not being able to see friends and roll dice hasn't helped. This show's been a light at the dark times. Jabs, listen, if it's only you and me for the rest of the time, let's do it. And that goes for all of you. This show has helped me. So, I'll do my thing. I'll admit my thing. I've had some low points over the past year, like when the Super Series got kicked because of lockdown and stuff. I was super low. And if I'm honest, I'm quite lost now. I'm really enjoying the stream streaks and doing the Monday Thursday show, but I lost the DJ job, and also I want to be doing live events here at the arena. The arena's all built up. I want events here. I want streaming. I want like Nick and Tom. I want to do like 40k event and Nick and Tom to do the commentating. I'll go do the tech stuff. Like I just want to see that happen, and it'll be so fun. You guys will enjoy it. I'll enjoy it. But it just feels like I can't do it right now, and so I feel a bit listless. Feel a bit listless? Can you feel a bit listless? Listless and a bit lost at the moment. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So like I'm with you guys. Like it's super hard. Like, and especially because hobby is great, and like hanging out with you guys is great. So anyway, yeah. Jabs, I hear you, bub. Hayes, happy birthday, Ziggy. Oh, that's nice. Look at you guys. The whole point of life, Warcraft groups. Okay, I've taken too long to read the messages. Hi, Razor Wolf and Trog. Big love to you. Thanks for subscribing. I know you love fantasy books, Alpaca. Have you started reading the Stormlight Archive book yet? It's so good. I've started listening to the first audiobook of the Stormlight Archive. That's the farthest I've got so far. But I'm tempted. I am getting through them. So I'm only on like maybe chapter 4 or 5 of the Stormlight Archive. They've got some cool blades and armor. That's pretty cool. But I will read them at some point. I got an idea. You can be on those new Jesus Twitch gamers. That def fits your demographic. Right, do you want you guys? Fuck me. I reckon I'd make a really good pasta. I just want to know that. But that's a different conversation. Anyway, let's talk about should we talk about some actual news? Because some big news happened yesterday that I didn't really... feel free to ask questions in the chat, obviously. Linguini or fettuccine. Fucking you bunch of twats. Oh my god. Anyway. Oh my god. So did you guys see the news about the Gargants yesterday? That's my question. Did you guys see the Gargant news? The Gargant news is actually pretty big. Fucking swish. Nothing but net on that one. The Gargant news is, of course, that they now can override how you capture objectives. Yeah, the FAQ. It was on the stream yesterday. Chris Seaton's in the chat. Chris Seaton, by the way, one of the people who, when I've had rough times over the past year, has been there for me. Super lovely bloke, including all you guys, obviously. But that's Serbator in the chat. He's a babe. But you have to have a Southern Kentucky accent to make it believable. I can't do that. Right, let's talk about the Gargant FAQ, and then we'll talk about the fact that I played against the Stormcast. 2 lots of 30 libs dropping yesterday. We'll talk about the libs first because he's in the chat. We'll start with the libs. Okay, so last night on TTS, me and the Warhammer Freedom Fighter Adam Mumford did some like testing on using the Liberators that we talked about on Monday's show. Down unsupervised, very unhappy about the Stormcast dropping in. Me too. So I put like together a kind of slightly different list from my list from the weekend, but basically it was a load of Ard Boys and Pigs with War Chanters, so I would get like some big muscle to do some fighting. Mr. Adam Mumford took 2 units of 30 Liberators. He then redeployed them before the game started because he had a low 2-drop army maybe. He was able to then charge after the movement phase. After the movement phase meant that they gained an additional save and +1 to hit. So now they were 3 up, rerolling 1s. And then he used Gabriel Shaw charge to add +12 to their charge range. So they ended up having an 18 in charge each. He rolled 2 6s to the charge. He added +12 to that. You still have to be within 12 to declare the charge, but he deployed outside of 9. So he had an 18-inch charge with 2 units of 30 Liberators. That's 120 wounds. One of the units had a 2-up save. One of the units had a 3-up save. We were playing Scorched Earth. He claimed 3 of my objectives. Because he could just snake stuff around because it was a ridiculous charge, obviously. So then that was, he scored 7 on the first turn. I was like, okay. So then I fought him back a bit. He didn't do any damage. Like, he did no damage. And then he killed like 3 Ard Boys, no pigs. I was like, right, my turn. War Chant of the lads. Get them fighting. Reroll 1s. Nah, killed like none. 6 pigs. 6 pigs have got 25 attacks. 3s and 3s. Ren 1, 2 damage. But when they're fighting 2-up armor saves that then become 3s rerolling 1s, I killed like 3. So basically by the end of priority turn 3, he'd Like, he'd lost almost a unit of Liberators, but it didn't matter because he'd scored like 1 billion points, and it was game over. And I was like, okay, this is fun. And basically is probably the future of competitive Age of Sigmar for, like, I don't know, till they stop it, I guess. It fucking sucked. How are they 2+? Okay, easy. So the Liberators start on a 4-up save. Because of the Shields of Humanity special rule, I think that's what it's called. Effectively, if they don't move in the movement phase, they gain +1 save. That's the only stipulation to gain the +1 save. So then when they charge, they take the +1 save with them. So then they're on a 3-up save. And then obviously you just use a Castellan to give them an additional +1 save. So that's how you get a 2-up save. One unit had a 3-up save, one unit had a 2-up save. And then it just went through. It was War Chanters is +1 damage, right, when it does its ability. Yes, Razor Wolf. So yeah, so I use the War Chanters to give +1 damage. So the pigs, 6 pigs, is a pretty offensive amount of output. It's 25 attacks, 3s, 3s, rend 1, 2 damage, and then 24 attacks, 4s, 3s, no rend, 2 damage. Because the War Chanter effect for +1 damage affects both the Orc on top and the pig. So you basically are taking 7 attacks from pig and rider, and you're giving them +1 damage. It's amazing. I didn't kill a unit of Liberators with that over 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of combat. So, thanks, Tibble's Evil Cat. He says he's so gay for me, and I really appreciate that. I really do. That's super nice. Yeah, libs can't fly. Screens is the answer. That's a good point. That doesn't really matter. My pigs couldn't fly either. It's not that he killed anything. Again, he killed none of my army. Like, killed like some Ard boys, like 5 or whatever. It didn't really matter. The point is that you're just pinned into your army like a swamp list. So unless you can battle your way out of that, then you're in a really tough spot. So if you literally are just pinned in, you just can't get out, which means you can't get to any of the objectives as well. And obviously with also that dumb charge, so Gabriel Shawheart is his actual name, sorry. He basically, for every command point, he can use his command ability, and has been able to since it was released, to stack his charging command ability to give +3 to charge to units. So effectively, he gave 2 units +12 to charge. So no, they can't fly, but they can go where they fuck the want. So even though they have to deploy within the range of the Veritant, they've still got a very, very solid charge range. So you could teleport out of it, that's true, but you can't teleport your whole army out of it. That's also a thing. Need a more Crusher Rob? No, I appreciate that. Listen, there are definitely going to be conversations about, like, you know, like, well, my unit of eels is going to, like, punch through them or whatever the conversation. But, you know, 60 wounds on a 2-up save rerolling 1s is going to be a challenge for a lot of armies to process and deal with anyway. So it's something to think about. And I don't even think that's necessarily the best version. Me and Adam talked about that last night. I wanted to include a unit of 12 Long Strike Raptors with Hurricane Crossbows, because they are amazing. Oh, that guy 462, thanks for subscribing, baby. I hope you're well. So IPACA, they need to be wholly within 12 inches of the character in the battalion. You could split your army in half in deployment, so they can only block in half. Yes, that's true, IPACA. The big problem is in that situation, because he used Gabriel Shawheart for the command ability. You're right, he was 9 inches away and then wholly within. So we played Scorched Earth, which is the most spread out battle plan you can play, effectively. Like, it's a good battle plan for playing something like this, because really you're not boxed into a single home objective. I have 4 spread across the board. In this situation, that didn't really matter because he had +18. So if you imagine from the center of the board and then take units and take them 18 inches from the center, they've got quite a big capacity to pin you in, which is really all they're looking to do. You know, anyway, it was very strong. It was very strong, and something to be conscious of. And maybe if you get play TTS or you want to get a board out at home, see what you would try and do against it. Really, I think a screen and then counter charge is the answer. But the question is can you kill 60 wounds on 2-up save? Probably by like turn 2 or 3, like with the right armies. I was like, can Marauders do it? Like, the maths is they're not doing it. They're not doing it in turn 1. Are they doing it in turn 2? Maybe. If you can't do it by turn 3, the game's over because they've grabbed all the points. So it's an interesting game. Gav can just deploy off the board and land behind them in the movement phase. Pete, he can. Also, great seeing Pete Pratt. If we can give Pete some love in the chat, that'd be nice. Thank you very much. Marcus Rock, I think it's good, but overblown. Okay, well then maybe me and Adam will do some more TTS at some point. I'll record it and I'll show you guys. I'm not trying to overblow it. I'm telling you what happened last night and giving you some feedback. It's pretty phenomenal. I don't even think it's the best version of it. I think the best version of it is when you take Raptors. We did the maths on that last night. If he'd only had one unit of Liberators, which would be on a 2-up save, and a unit of Raptors, the unit of 12 Raptors, very expensive, 560 points. They effectively can do 180 shots if you put them in anvils. 180 shots in anvils. Because of Defenders Humanity, they get +1 to hit, so it's 3s and 4s. And if you give them reroll 1s, you can basically just give your opponent 70 wound dice. So, like, against a 4-up save, you can do 35 wounds. However, against, like, horrors or something, the 5-up save, you're given a lot of wounds. 35 wounds is pretty decent. It'll kill your Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. It'll kill your Lord of Change. It'll kill a bunch of stuff. It's a pretty scary unit. Like, 35 wounds after a 4-up armor save is pretty nice. KO wrecks it. Okay, that's fascinating. Because KO wouldn't be on the board, I don't think. But we'll see. Like, we'll just see it play out, I guess is the real question. So, there we go. I think statements like KO wrecks it might be a bit, like, rough. But I'm not saying it wins every game ever. I'm just telling you about my experience of a new element to very competitive Age of Sigmar that's out in the world. Because there is some very, very good stuff. Would the Stormcast be too far away from the heroes so Battle Shock would be an issue for them? Only if you didn't string them out. Like, I mean, if you were stupid and thought, like, Inspiring Presence was 18 inches, then yes. But if you were smart, you just kept 1 within 12, then you could be smart about it, I think. 35 wounds, you mean a dead Mega Gargant? I do mean a dead Mega Gargant. I'm just saying that the way KO plays pretty much counters the win condition of this list perfectly, says Alpaca. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Alpaca. Again, like, irregardless of, I mean, I respect KO shooting and its output. Again, 60 wounds on a 2-up save is no joke. Rerolling 1s, you know, whether or not you can't pin it in, which is the win condition of the list, you are absolutely right. This list isn't designed to kill anything, it's just designed to pin you in. That's all it's designed to do. That's it. And Change Host outdrops it, so Change Host can, like, push forward, which is kind of an interesting game. It'd be fun to play. But the list can stop KO. Yeah, it can zone KO out pretty significantly. Like very significant. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's an interesting thing. We'll learn more about it as we play through the game, and we'll see more experiences of people play. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's fun to talk about. It's the new hot goss, other than Gargants. I played a bit with it last night, so I've got some more relevant experience to talk about. I like the Raptors list. I might try the Raptors list. I love the idea of just, like, turn 1, just giving someone 180 dice. It's fucking awful. You can do it the other way, FYI. You could take 2 units of Raptors, which I think is a terrible list. I wrote it out on a War Score build earlier. So 2 units of 12 Vanguard Hunters with Hurricane Crossbows. You're gonna do 70 wounds to an enemy army, 70 wounds against a 4-up save. Or, to put it the other way, you're gonna give them 140 wound dice, and then they've got their 4-up save. So, you know, if you've got DPRs or whatever, that would be turn 1. Can't stop it. Literally nothing you can do to stop it. Off you go. It's pretty fun. Anyway. Right, we'll stop that for a second. Any questions? Stormcast did need a boost. They did. I don't think this is as bad as Vanguard Wing, which is broken, and I agree with you very much there. But it's very strong. It's very strong. It's also very strong, like, but not really. It's just gimmicky. It's just a gimmick. It's a super weird gimmick. It's not like a good structural same Stormcast. It doesn't make, like, everyone's not being like, oh, fucking yes, really into my battle cats now, or it's made my Star Drake stronger. It's just very specifically a janky list thing. But it's interesting to talk about, I think. Whew. Can take a drink of water. Talked about that a lot. Oh, W. Soren, I hope you're well. I've got a load of Stormcast looking for a new home, so sorry again. Oh, baby. You've got loads of Liberators. That's all I want. Okay. Yeah, Libs have Duff Up the Big Thing too. They do. Libs do have that. So if you do have more than 5 wounds, they've got that. So Lay Low the Tyrants is also an ability. And the Liberators get +1 to hit against all boats. So those Liberators would be hitting on 2s. If you use a command ability, they'd be re-rolling 1s. So they'd be hitting on 4s normally. Then because of Shield of Humanity, they'd be hitting on 3s. Then because of Lay Low the Tyrants, they'd be hitting on 2s. Obviously, you can re-roll 1s. They don't have Rend unless they've got the Grand Hammers. And then they'll be wounding on 3s. So they'll give you a few dice. They're not particularly killy, but that's not their job. Again, that's super important. I have 0 Soundcast. I have actually gave all mine away. I think that's the right decision. Anyway, question. This is just a little side note. How would everyone feel if someone did Stormcast but you made them out of Dispossessed? Question. Would it be like if you took some Ironbreakers and you pretended they were Liberators and you put them on 32 mil bases? Would you think that was taking the piss? Like, that's my question. Marcus Rock, honestly, all this was already there. It wasn't. The pre-game deployment wasn't there. That's way more important. That wasn't already there. Pre-game deployment was not already there. Pre-game move was not already there. That didn't change it up. Can't help but think of liberals when people talk about libs. I thought US politics... as long as the base size is right, it's 5 on me. They just got to reforge some... Yes, perfect. Do a whole unit of just shield bearers, like the old character model. Yeah. 40 mil bases for Stormcast, obviously, not Space Marines. 40 mil bases. Maybe add some lightning bits. Yo-yo. Hey, Speckles. Okay, so that's the first bit of news this week. This Age of Sigmar news. We'll be doing all the 40k stuff tonight. Then the other bit of news is the Gargant FAQ. Is everyone up to date on this? Is everyone up to date on the Gargant FAQ? Because it's wild. Right? So, like, when we read it yesterday, I was like, oh, that's nice. But it turns out it's deeper. It goes deeper. I'll be honest, I still don't fucking really get it. But effectively, they can do whatever they want. That's what I'm going to say. That's an easier way of putting it. I'm going to try and... I've written it down for myself, so I'm going to read it out for you guys. But basically, they've got a special rule called Mightier Makes Rightier. Yeah? Are we all good with that? Australian politics is weird. Australia's weird, so that kind of makes sense. Dave Fraser, this does feel like a personal attack. Like, I said they were shit, and they were like, alright, like, we need to fucking fuck the game up. Gargants go deeper, they do. It's effectively, so they've got the kicking rule. The kicking rule is not what we're talking about. Although the kicking rule change is sweet. They can kick an objective to make it change its points values where it is on the board. That's fine. Yeah? Right? However, the other rule, Mighty Makes Righty rule, should we get the FAQ up so we can describe it in person? Vince from Warhammer Weekly did this in detail yesterday, so you can go through it. If you want to watch that in more detail. I'm more like, I don't want to... Okay. Effectively, they get to decide who controls an objective. Or, more importantly, how that objective is controlled. So if the scenario says you're going to use a character like Place of Arcane Power to control an objective which overrides it, the Mighty Makes Righty rule overrides that as well. If that makes sense. Yeah? It's pretty strong. I guess really the question I'm asking you guys, so hold on, and it affects a load of scenarios, which is interesting. Battle for the Past, the enemy can never score 4 points on your point, like, because you're not allowed to. Scorched Earth, you can stop them burning objectives, so you can use the Gargant's ability to stop them scoring objectives. Total Commitment, you can stop them scoring 3 on your objectives, and you can score 3 on the ones you've kicked forward. And that's just some of the things. Better Part of Valor, Megas can score objectives, and the first to arrive is irrelevant. Place of Arcane Power, the Man Crushers can score, and the first to arrive is irrelevant. And 3 Places of Power, Man Crushers can score, and the first to arrive doesn't matter. And also, Taken Hold, you disregard the 5 model rule. So you can just walk up and say, so Gargant rule takes priority always. Yes, that's the point. The Gargant rule takes priority always, which is a super weird interaction. All of the other changes, I'm going to be really specific, because I know you guys think I've got a hard-on for hating on Gargants, and I really don't. All the other changes are really good. Kicking the objectives is fine with me. Yeah? Being able to cast another spell is great. I think that's really, really positive. I still think their output's like meh. I think that they did some cowardly stuff, like the garrison, like a smasher building, but the garrison stuff's inside. I think that's actually quite shitty rules writing, but whatever. This though is super uninteractive for new people who are like, what the hell? Even me, truthfully, I can't even be asked to fucking learn it. If I'm just being real, you guys must get that sometimes. I must say stuff on the show and you're like, fuck Rob, who gives a shit? And I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel today. It's just bum, is what I'm going to say. The fact that they can choose and there is no guidance in when to apply it and whether they can keep changing it. So that's another point. So Dave's point here, initial sales of Gargants were not they were hoping for. That's a good point. The fact that they can choose. So not only can they apply their ability to be like, okay, so place of arcane power, I'm a character, I move on. And then they say, no, I'm using my ability to make it so that you can't do that and that's not how you score. And you're like, okay, that's weird, right? But then they move on, yeah? And then they're like, yes, I've got more models, we're using this system. But then if they don't want to, they can just be like, cool, now we're doing it versus I've got a model on there now. What are you going to do? So they can flip it back. So they can flip it or they can not flip it back. Like Scorched Earth, you can be like, no, you can't burn objectives. I'm using my rule to say you can't. Sweet. And then they can run on your objectives and then burn your objectives. So they get to choose. Because when you decide to score, like we talked about yesterday, is done at the end of the turn. You're like, now we see who holds all the objectives at the end of each player turn. That's when that rule comes into effect and when they get to apply their effect on everyone. Whew. Right, it's an interesting design space. If it's good or not, time will tell. It's definitely not. It's definitely not good. So do I buy Gargants or Stormcast now? I'd still buy Stormcast personally, because Stormcast would just fucking put 60 Liberates in front of the Gargants. The Gargants would never move off their objective. It doesn't matter what they do. Rob, it's very narrative. I'm bigger. I make the decision. I got no argument with that at all. And also, size doesn't matter. That's what you can say on the tabletop all the time. Jobs are good. It's an army rule, isn't it? Not a model rule. Yes, Speckles, it's an army rule. So is this all Gargants or just heroes? It's an army rule. So it's the allegiance ability rule. So when you ally in a Gargant, it's not going to apply. Very much like counting as 35 models or whatever it might be, doesn't apply when you ally in a Mega Gargant. You can still ally in a Kraken Eater and kick an objective because that's on their war scroll. Or it's on all their war scrolls, isn't it? Is it? Is it? Yeah, I think it is. But it doesn't matter about. But this specific rule only applies if you're playing Mega Gargant specifically as a sub-faction. So yeah. Has anyone got any thoughts on this? Only one can kick. Oh, so it must be the Kraken Eater. Yeah. Has anyone got any thoughts? Thanks, Grunty Hugh. Yeah, I thought it was only the Kraken Eater, and then I was like, am I in the wrong place? Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty strong. So Gargants are really supposed to be the only Gargant army and not allied in. There are arguments for allying some Gargants if you want to. The kicking rule does apply. So allying a Kraken Eater, for instance, if you were playing Border War or if you were playing any of those objectives, kicking an objective is genuinely quite strong because then you can just make it you can never score some points on yours. I guess the real question is, what's the answer? Because unless the FAQ gets an FAQ, which it does need, in only 20% of the scenarios, I think it's something like that, it does affect the game pretty significantly. And the big question is whether or not we all think that's okay. And also as a TO for the Super Series, I've got to make a suggestion on what I think, because I'm not explaining that to an audience. I think that's dumb. I'm not saying, hey, I know, so I've explained how the scenario works before in this scenario video, but guess what? Because this guy's bigger, he gets to just break the rules. Fucking no way. My thoughts reflect what was said on the One Weekly. It can be abused by Raw, but I wonder how many Gargant players will truly abuse it. All of the ones trying to win an event, I would think. So they decide from the beginning of the game, not only when they get the objective, I guess that is the guidance issue. So they decide from the beginning of the game. No, they decide every turn. Like, every turn they decide how they want to use that rule. I guess the writer was the same guy who gave Marauders a minimum 8 charge. I think that's the same one. So can't I just put 36 heroes on objective to take it away from a Mega Gargant? It seems perfectly doable to me. That's the answer. That is the correct way of doing it. Just say they can do it, but only against armies with more than 8 eels. Perfect, Speckles. That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, no, Dave. See, the thing is, I'm not gonna like. Nathan seems convinced. He was messaging me last night about it. Nathan seems convinced that Gargants are now a very big contender for being in team play formats. They can do so much janky stuff that you would like put them in the list. But personally, it's just abusive. It's an abusive set of rules, and it's not one that I would allow an event. Like, allow at my event. That specific rule I would not allow. Like, it's not okay. All scenario rules always apply. End conversation. Like, I really don't know what the rule is trying to achieve or how it's useful in any way. I don't think that the whole game needs to be thrown out with the bathwater just to make a couple of Gargant players happy. Like, it's weird and I'm not for it. So, personally, I'm going to FAQ it out. I would just be like, nope. That's going to be my decision. Hopefully, Games Workshop themselves just FAQ it out. But anyone who complains, I would just be like, what's your problem, bro? Like, it's super weird. Yeah. Also, the girl from the Army Painter stream, that's right. I think she maybe was a playtester. I think this is her suggestion. Are we back to a tournament ban list? Not a ban list, it's just a house rule. It's just a house rule for I would say, an unclear rule. Let's call it that, shall we? Also, they already have an army with leaders, battle lines, and monsters, so pretty well rounded up for scenarios. Marcus Rock, I agree with you absolutely on that. They already have a competent army. They have all of the elements that you would need for an army. They've got battle line units, they've got leaders, so they shouldn't be allowed to just decide that some rules don't apply anymore. It doesn't make any sense. The best thing is to pretend it doesn't exist. Arcanaut Admiral, I'm on your side as well. Let's do that. Could we do that with the Stormcast Battalion as well? Is that okay, or are you not about it? But would you allow 80 Sentinels? I would allow 80 Sentinels, Hellstorm Dan. Like, that's fine. Like, it's completely the rules. Do I think it's fun? Do I even think it's good? It's good. But I'd prefer the Spear guys. The Spear guys do like 20 mortal wounds. They're brilliant. Again, I wouldn't house rule... I'm not house ruling any of the other stuff. Does anyone think house ruling that particular ability doesn't work in the Super Series would be bad? That's my question. I don't think it is. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, it's Men's Day, so let's take the piss out of me and have some fun. Why does Rob hate Gargants? Wrong answers only. Let's go. Let's see what you guys have got. Because I don't hate them. That's all I can say. I just... He's been put in Nathan's pants too many times. Size envy. Okay, yeah, that works. It's not fun to hear, but sure. He doesn't have an overcompensation issue. ... I think you're suggesting that I am. I think you should replace it with something that's less problematic rather than throwing them out entirely. Okay, it's worth looking at Nuns with Guns. They stole his jam. He can stuff only 3 of them in his pants. His first love was a Gargant and stood up to him at a gig, then ghosted him. The first girl I ever did go on a date with was incredibly tall. That's got nothing to do with this, though. It's just fucking sprung a memory in my brain. It's got nothing to do with this. You want them to be good. Games Workshop said, hold on, I mean, I did ask for that, so they did a giveaway. We all know I hate a giveaway. We had a problem not allowing a Gargant in the club. Okay. Body dysmorphia. Are you calling me fat, Joe? That's rude. Alright, well, those are the 2 things I wanted to... Well, 3 things to talk about. Mental health, or World Men's Day. Like, men getting it together today, so all of you love each other more. The Stormcast and the Gargants. Unless anyone's got anything else they want to bring up. Questions. Is it because evil Gargants that live in the Antarctic or something? Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. It's trying to steal the nuts. Okay, I'm going to bring this up again, because Pete's reminded me. So one of Nathan's family members, pretty certain that the Nazis didn't lose the Second World War, and instead they relocated to Antarctica. This is in no way a lie. True story. I've seen this. Okay. And in Antarctica lives ice giants. This is true. 100% true. Yeah. Who steal gold. That's why money's no longer on a gold standard. Steal gold to use it for the ice giant Nazi war machines in Antarctica. True story. Well, it's not a true story, but it's a true story that someone believes, that Nathan tells me about all the time. So that's quite funny, because the current new rule is that the Gargants basically change the rules of how we get the gold on the objectives, and so that really fits in quite nicely. There's more to that conspiracy theory. I like how the Honest War Game is becoming like a real conspiracy theory, like hotbed over the past few years, and I'm for it. That's all I want to say. On board for the ice giant part, but why would they move to Antarctica if they won? It's a great question. It's a great question. What will Saturday's reveal include? Any chance for Emperor's Children? I'm pretty certain Saturday is going to be Mortal Slaanesh and Death Guard. Pretty certain we're going to see a Mortal Slaanesh battle tome. We'll see some models, and I think we're going to see some Death Guards. I think we're going to see Death Guard stuff. Paint a NASA Gargant, a logo on your Gargant, job done. Dude, wait, what? Darker design. I promise you, this is 100%. I'll ask Nathan about it on Monday again so you guys can hear. But I promise you, this is true. Yeah, it's not a true thing. Oh my god, I don't think it's true. It's someone believes it and tells me and Nathan that it's true. Okay. How can you build a good Hallow Heart list? I would effectively take a bunch of wizards. The Luminarch's obviously, not Luminarch, the Hurricaneum's really important, Tristan, because it gives you the +1 bubble around, which is quite nice. Now you don't have Ignax Scales. That's a bit of an issue for being able to heal. So maybe you might want to put something like Life Swarm in your list. It does make it expensive, but taking D6 down, taking D6 mortal wounds and then giving yourself D6 back kind of helps maybe mitigate that a little bit. Or you could have a big wound pool like a Sorceress on Black Dragon, which does the same sort of thing. And it's got a pretty decent spell as well. But mainly what you're going to be looking to do is doing a lot of mortal wounds at range, and you want to keep, because that's effectively like a shooting bunker. So you want to keep the enemy away. So you could use something like Phoenix Guard, which are like pretty survivable and can take the charge and fight their way out of that while you're doing magic over the top. Or you want to do something that's got a lot of weight of dice. So the traditional version of that is to take handgunners and crossbows, but handgunners specifically. So they've got a lot of shots with Rend, and they can do that. Even some okay fighting. So they also can hit. They can deal with kind of more hordes. So you're going to do well against elite armies with Hallow because you can do a lot of mortal wounds from the different spells. Like Chain Lightning's obviously brilliant. There's another spell exactly like Chain Lightning. There's one on the Hurricane, and there's another one in the Spell Lore, and they basically do the same job. It's just a bunch of mortal wounds. You can take the Comet. That's even more mortal wounds. That's super useful. And then what you want is something that can defend that bunker for a few turns and go grab objectives. That's how I build a Hallow list. Can we do a Nathan show on only this? I'll ask him, and yes. I want a good Wanderers list for cities, but they're so bad. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Would guess the Broken Realms book will further the adventures of Baby Slaanesh, so around then for the mortals to come out. Why are we calling Slaanesh Baby Slaanesh? Because she's been birthed. What are you saying? Don't play against 5 dragons. That's also true. Mortal Slaanesh models for AOS 3rd Ed starter set is my bet. I don't agree with that, Razor Wolf. I think it might be something else, but because we're way away from Age of Sigmar 3. Way away. We'll get that announcement in like January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Like May time? I think May is when we'll hear Age of Sigmar 3 stuff. I think we've got loads more Broken Realm stuff to go before then, personally. Baby Slaanesh needs a Guardian. Games Workshop call it the Elf DeLorean. This is the way. I like the Elf DeLorean. There's just text list of Baby Slaanesh is like, this is the way. Let's talk about Slaanesh. What do you guys want to say about Slaanesh? Why are you all obsessed with Slaanesh? What's going on? New hot take: Broken Realm Stormcast with allied Kraken Eater. Okay. Is that good? Would that be good? I don't think so. I think baby Slanesh will be a cow. There's not going to be a Slanesh model, though. Like a Slanesh god. There's never a god model. Slanesh equals dick. I meant dits. Oh my god. I'm going. Right, you guys, it's been a pleasure. Happy International Men's Day. It's been super sweet talking to you guys today. Again, just a reminder, love each other loads. Super important. Like, the world's a tough place. So, like, message your friend. If you're feeling good, you message your friends. If you're not feeling good, you message your friends. Like, support each other. Loads of love. You guys are great. You've helped me. If you guys have enjoyed the show, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone on Patreon. It's made it so that I can keep doing this, and all the podcast guys. But you've helped me as much as I hope I've helped you. I can't thank you enough. Some of those people who helped me loads are going to be Nick and Tom, who are on the show tonight talking 40k. Lovely, lovely men. And I can't wait to talk Space Marines with them. You guys look after yourselves. I'll see you again for the Stream Street tomorrow. We're not far away from 269. Let's get it on. And Christmas is coming, so that'll be fun. You guys are brilliant. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon.